Welcome back to Girl on the Gov, the podcast,
where we're shooting the shit with elected officials and candidates running for office to get to know the person beyond the politics.
because politicians needed a rebrand.
Hello.
Hello. Happy birthday, Samantha. Sad? Another year gone by. Why are you over it?
Why? I don't know. You know what it is? It's like it's
a weird number, but that's the thing.
Well, that's
It's
the thing
a
though, is I
number.
don't even care about the number. It's not even that. I'm just like, it's almost like stresses me out as like a concept, if that makes any sense. Like, it's very much like, I know like someone's gonna annoy me and then I'm gonna be more annoyed about it because I'm annoyed on my birthday. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Oh,
like
no,
I'm
that's what I was-
exhausted by like that element of it. Like, it's almost just like the expectation and then of what? You know what I mean? Like, and then it's a Monday birthday. Whatever. It's, if you look at the end of the day and you're like, oh, like this person texted me and then this person didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But what?
Like, then it's annoying. It just feels like.
So which boy hasn't texted you?
Okay, shut up.
Let's unpack this because there's something going on that's so specific to you and your day that you're trying to explain that no one understands because they're not you. But there's something to unpack.
You know, I wish it were a present.
You're right. Yeah.
See, that would be great. And if anyone's listening, they're like, what should I get her? I am looking to give my niece, Disco, cutest wiener dog to ever exist, a cousin. Is that how that works? Yeah, a niece. Yeah, that would be a cousin. So just a cute
You're
little.
gonna get one?
Probably not. I don't have the time, but I really want one. But I'm just saying, if someone gave it to me, then I would have no choice. You know what I mean? So just think of it in that context. It could be a long-haired, it could be a short-haired. I don't care. I love them all. Could be one of the little schnauzer ones with the little head. It's so cute. Looks like a little professor.
Maybe you should foster some dogs or something.
But then I have to get them back. No.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
I could
that's
never.
true.
I would lose my shit. I couldn't do it. It would not happen. So,
Well, wiener
nonetheless.
dogs for the birthday girl.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking donations or, babysitting duties. I guess that's kind of like fostering. But then it's like if you're babysitting, you can like see them again. That's why I love seeing my little niece. She is a star.
Sure.
She's the apple of my eye. She hates going on walks though, and that's one of the funniest things of all time.
Classic.
She thinks she's a cat. It's fine. Like,
Classic.
But nonetheless, what a wild political world that we are living in.
I was just going to ask, like, what's going on in the political world right now? I feel like because it's been so insane the past month, right now I'm like, there's nothing so blatant that I'm like, oh, nothing's going on, but I know there is. What is it? What's going on?
Okay. I'll give you like the whirly gag, for lack of a term, is there's like a lot and like nothing all at the same time. Because I was putting together our lovely GovHub newsletter this morning, finishing details, whatever. Go subscribe if you're not subscribed. And we have a section called like Good News Bears for good news. And we also have like other news things. And it was like, literally, I had to reel myself back from accidentally making it seem like a Kamala and Tim fan page situation because there's so much going on in the campaign. And so much like happening and buzz and conversations happening around like where this has redirected the campaign. And that is taking up like every inch of news space. And then occasionally Trump being a fucking whack job moron as he is. That's just like who he is as a person. AKA all the time. And him and little drag man, AKA JD Vance.
Yes, that is like the thing that comes to mind the most is the JD Vance in drag pics, which like at this point, I feel like you're not in the Republican Party unless there's old drag photos of you that have come out. So it's like, it's just on brand at this point. What's obviously funny is the hypocrisy. And what's also funny is the way everyone's drag looks in the Republican Party are so heinous and so bad.
They're so bad. It makes it honestly a delight to check out because you're like, wow, how bad could it be? And it really, the bar keeps going lower and lower. And I do love that for them. They could
And they've
never.
shown that.
Exactly. And like maybe they're just mad and they're just jealous. And I think that
That's
really
what it's giving.
It's
like
giving
when
jealous.
these pictures come out of these GOP members in drag in their past, and all of their drag looks are so heinous. It's like it only makes sense that they're now coming for drag queens who are like so fabulous and beautiful and perfect and like look insane. So yeah, it's just like it's all clicking. If you're wondering like why Republicans care so much about drag, like it's because they're jealous. I think that's the moral of this whole story.
That's for damn sure. Because I put this in the newsletter. I was like, we have to know where JD Vance is getting his eyeliner. But like why we need to know is so that we don't use it. You know what I mean? Because clearly it's not giving. It's not doing the damn thing. It's looking weird. It's looking like it's definitely not waterproof. I can tell you that much. It's dripping down his face.
Right. It's definitely from either a drugstore or like Shein or something.
Although I have to say, I do love my drugstore makeup, which is also why I'm not a makeup influencer because I am so bad at makeup.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
The one thing I do like from drugstores are like I never buy mascara or like eyeliner from Sephora or like Ulta or anything. Like always drugstore mascara. Always.
Yeah. I will give a shout out to like e.l.f. in general because I've been actually liking a lot of their stuff, including there's this like halo glow foundation-y type thing. I think it's like a Charlotte Tilbury dupe. And it is genuinely the only foundation-esque thing that has ever matched with my skin or worked. So, just saying.
When I was at VidCon, they had a little e.l.f. booth, and I got some. They have these new like liquid blushes and liquid like highlighters.
Yeah.
I've been using. Love those. Shout out e.l.f.
See? e.l.f. sponsor this. Honestly.
Yeah. This is not paid, but it should be. Yeah.
Damn, for sure. But yeah, it's crazy. It's like, again, there's so much going on in terms of like campaign stuff. And then everything else is a little bit more like international, like not as much in terms of domestic because the House and the Senate are not in session right now.
Right. Yep.
So,
but campaign's pumping. And these rallies are so impressive.
Literally
insane.
Bananas.
Like giving Eras Tour.
It's giving Eras Tour, and it's giving I wish I lived in a swing state because I want to attend.
I know, same. Like, except for she did come. It's like funny because same with Biden. Like, they do their rallies, and then they come to San Francisco for like a private fundraiser for all the rich people. And I'm like, if only, I was either one of those rich people or they actually did like a rally for us San Franciscans or us so liberal cities. Vermont primaries are this week. And we actually have our guest today is from Vermont, a state legislator in Vermont, and has a primary. So, like, what are the odds of that? Look at us.
Oh my gosh. Look at us. Look at us. We have, like Maddie said, a Vermont state legislator. You guys have met her before, though, because she's been on the show this past winter, Rep. Mary-Katherine Stone. And we wanted to have her back on because, first of all, we love her. She's the best. Second of all, she's brought the civic engagement sweatshirt back. So that is available. I will put that link in the description. Gorgeous perfection. Because, I won't even tell you what the story is because you'll figure it out when you continue listening to this episode when we chat about that whole situation with her. And in addition, we want to chat about fashion and political fashion because we fucking love talking about that shit. And she loves talking about that shit. So it was just, we had to make it happen. And like Maddie said, the primary timing perfection. And there are also other primaries tomorrow, aka this Tuesday as well. Anyways, without further ado, here's Rep Stone. Baby, we're back with Rep Stone, aka literally the best human ever and fellow Vermonter. Last time we chatted, BT dubs, you had just gotten engaged. Can we get the update, the elopement, all the things, please?
Yes. So last time we talked, I had literally gotten engaged moments before the podcast was recorded. We ended up getting married, like legally married, about a month after that at the Vermont State House. We did it. You're not legally allowed to do it inside the State House. So we did it on the front steps, and our lovely sergeant at arms kind of like turned the other way. And we had, we had a really sweet ceremony. There were 4 female lawmaker friends of mine who actually took turns officiating the wedding, another lawmaker played violin, and then the Vermont Symphony Orchestra played kind of like not for our reception, but basically they were playing there that night anyway. And that was like one of the reasons that we decided to get married that day, because that was our first date, was hearing the Vermont Symphony Orchestra play at the State House 1 year before. So that was part one of the wedding. And then part two was an elopement in Tuscany with just the two of us this summer. And that's when I did the whole like white dress moment. 2 white dresses, actually, because why not?
Because of course.
Literally.
Because you have to have, that's like the one day you can do all of the outfit changes you want. That is so sweet. All of it. I love that. I love that like other members playing violin and all the things. That's amazing. So cute. Well, you guys also have had like a wild session this year. Can you kind of dive into that and like what that's been like? What are some of the wins? Tell us everything. What's the latest?
Yeah, it has been wild. We've had 2 historic 100-year floods that literally happened 1 year apart from one another. Like this year, the governor was giving a speech saying, look how far we've come in 1 year. He gave that speech in the morning, and later that day, the same areas were flooded again. So that's been a real mess,
Yeah.
Dealing with that on top of dealing with issues with our taxes increasing because COVID era, funds and supports have ended. The cost of educating our students has gone up. Schools are doing way more than they did like 10 years ago when I was in school. And so the cost of educating children has gone up, and therefore we're paying for it. And so that's been hard. And we had a lot of vetoes that had to be overridden. I was actually in Italy, though, for the veto override session, getting married. Like the exact day that they had the override session was the same day that I was like in the white dress walking down the aisle.
That's stressful.
Yes, but they knew about it like months ahead of time.
Yeah.
And leadership gave me a pass. But it has been a wild summer. And then actually tonight there's a flood warning again for the same areas that have been impacted twice in 1 year.
They cannot catch a break.
We can't catch a break.
It's so crazy too, because like I like having grown up Vermont as like a little kid and being back and forth between here and New York all the time. It's like it's so weird to me because in my family like looks at like at Vermont as okay, sort of like what's supposed to be like a safe haven from all of the crazy climate shit. It's like let's move here and be able to not deal with like the fires and the flooding and all these things. And meanwhile, like year after year now, we've had crazy shit, including like last year, all the fire smoke. And now we've got constant flooding. And it's just obviously climate change doesn't stop for anybody. Like she is not trying to like miss out on a moment to really like rain on everyone's parade. But it's crazy. It
is. Yeah, I grew up in Alabama. And so I'm so serious. One of the reasons that I moved to Vermont was because I thought in my head, Vermont is a safe haven because I'd been through so many like F5 tornadoes. An F5 tornado hit the University of Alabama my senior year when I was there, and like horrible. So when I was thinking about places where I would like to live as an adult, I thought away from all of this stuff, like axe the Midwest because that's Tornado Alley. Didn't want to move further south because of hurricanes. And I thought, Vermont has snow, but they're prepared for that because it's coming. So they plow the streets. They like, you can kind of predict when that stuff is coming. And then now it almost feels like I'm back in Alabama. Truly, like hurricane season is impacting Vermont. I never would have thought that.
It's so crazy. But wait, speaking of tornadoes though, has anyone seen Twister?
No.
Did you?
Guys, okay, no, it's like on my list. And so I was just hoping for some like maybe some preemptive reviews because I keep seeing all the clips of Glenn Powell looking so hot with Luke Combs audio in the background.
On Tyler Childers. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. It's just might be sliding into those DMs and just being like, hey.
It's not my like genre of movie by any means, especially not when I would go to the movies to see, but Glenn Powell. That's all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I don't know. Guys, the OG one was really good. Like the original Twister,
Oh,
which
no,
also isn't so
That was
good.
like 97. I barely remember it, but
It's
I remember
okay.
it being great.
Weirdly, back in the USA and TNT days of cable, they would play it a lot.
Yeah.
So I have seen that movie more. That, Grease, and A League of Our Own probably more times than I can count.
Oh yeah, I remember
Just
A League
on
of Our Own
rotation.
a lot.
God, such
It
a
is so
classic. I feel like growing up too, everyone's like, "Oh my God, I was watching like Sesame Street." I was like, I was watching League of Their Own for like the 50,000th time. It's fine. Just,
so good.
Yeah.
moving through things. But anyways, taking things in a whole different direction. We want to talk about political fashion a little bit because I know this is like something we all care about, we all love. And I just like want like some of your thoughts on the conversation that used to be, I feel like this, we can't talk about women's fashion in politics, to now where we like actually, I feel like, are respecting, thinking about like, oh, like these are symbolic diplomatic choices that have like something to them. Like, what are your just thoughts on the whole conversation there?
Oh, this is one of my favorite conversations to have. I have a background in art, and so I love playing around with colors and patterns and designs. Hence, I have all of this on right now, case in point. But it really is an expression of like who you are and your personality. And it's also a cultural thing for me. I'm half Egyptian. My father's an immigrant. He is well known for his fashion because he takes his work very seriously. He's a college professor, but like he dresses up as if he's going to a ball every day for work. Like wears a tux, wears bright colors because he knows like it's an honor to be here doing this work. And my mom is the same way. Like she came from humble beginnings, but she raised me to make sure that my shirts were pressed and then I had lipstick on and like showed up every day. And moving to Vermont was a little bit of a difference from being in the South or even in DC where I was before being in Vermont. But I've still carried that forward into the political space. I mean, before I was legislating full time, I worked as a frontline healthcare worker and I still would like dress up for work. I was not a scrubs kind of girl. Like I still made sure that I had makeup on and like clothes that reflected my personality and style. But I will say, we've come a long way, but it is one of the number one things that I get harassed for. Like I literally had a Reddit troll after me this week making comments about handbags that I had on and the things that I wear. And like, how can this girl be fundraising when she's like looking this way?
Yeah.
And I had like a little bit of a meltdown when this happened. I just got back from NCSL, which is the National Conference for State Legislators. So I was surrounded by other legislators. And it was funny because it was like the people of color and women were the ones who were empathizing with me. And they also got it. They were like, no, like we dress up. It's an honor and a privilege to be in those spaces. And so we take our job seriously, but yet people come after them and they come after me for doing it. Which is
Do you
ridiculous.
know like generally like what people's like main critiques are in terms of like what do they want you to wear? Like what is so like
I was like, do I need to wear tattered clothing to prove a point? But then if I did that, I would get criticized for looking like a slob.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
I
very
almost
strange.
feel like it's like one of those things you have to be like, fuck it, I'm wearing what I want to wear. And this is the message I want to send because it's how I perceive it. And if you don't like it, then like toodaloo. Because I feel like those people that zoom in on like a negative thing, they just have nothing to like put their, hook in or whatever at all. So it's like that's what they like think they can like.
Or it's because they're jealous and they love it and they want it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I was in DC the last time that I saw y'all in person for the Rising Star Awards, I got to go to the White House. And I lived in DC for a couple of years, never went to the White House. I missed out on that tourist kind of opportunity. And so I was really excited. And I wore a full head to toe velvet frame leopard suit that I got off of Poshmark. And I put a lot of thought into it. I was like, if I'm going to go to the White House, like I'm showing up and showing out. And I had a little photo shoot. I was like, this is literally like my childhood dream. And people came after me in the DMs and they're like, you look so stupid. And I was like, I look like I'm full of joy, actually. Thank you very much. So strange.
Right.
No, it's literally like, well,
response.
Like who's at the White House and who's not. Because it's looking like the person in the comment section didn't get invited. So
yeah, it looks stupid.
You know what I'm saying? But also, I'm sorry, Leopard and Cheetah are really having a moment this year, which I am so glad about. I love a fun pattern. I love a good animal print. And I have to say too, which this is why I never get rid of things, or at least my new claim to fame. Because also every time I get rid of something, it always comes back and I'm always pissed about it.
Yeah.
Is one of my best purchases, and everyone can make fun of me for this, is when I was doing an ambassador program in high school. We were traveling all across Europe, and in Florence, there is a lovely, I don't think the store exists anymore, but they had a lot of great Dolce & Gabbana back before I knew it was a controversial brand. So let's just put it that way. Regardless, they had a leopard bathing suit that I literally still wear to this day. It is a classic, and I was able to bring it back this year because, hello, it's back. It's having a little renaissance, dare we say, and perfect. It's so fun. I
love animal print. Actually, bringing it back to a cultural thing, like I was talking about that being an expression of your culture. One of my friends who's Filipino-American, our first conversation when we decided we were going to be friends, she looked at my shoes and she was like, girl, you're wearing snakeskin shoes. It was to this leadership seminar thing. And I was like, yeah, I love these. And she told me that her mom, who's Filipino, said that you can tell like the women who are not to be messed with if they have on snakeskin footwear, or not snakeskin, but like animal, whatever print.
I love that.
Yeah. So maybe you should expand your collection to get some leopard shoes.
No, totally. I did have a pair of flats at one point, but the thing with me and shoes, I run through them so quickly. I am a hard and fast walker. I will sprint all over the place. Maddie has been chasing me all over the city before. It's a thing. So like,
you're actually usually behind me because I'm wearing the comfortable shoes and you're wearing heels, and she's 10 yards behind me.
I love it.
But conceptually, she's the one with like more of like the chunky boot, and I'm the one with the heeled boot. So that's where we're it's tough. But
well, I'm curious too, like what if you have any like memorable moments and outfits that you particularly like curated for something while you're legislating, like some event, what's the like main thing you look back to and like this was thought out, this was intentional, like what was that?
Yeah, when I was sworn in, I wore a hot pink and red combo, very Valentine's-esque. I realized that. But it was another one of those moments where I was like, I'm living out my childhood dreams. I'm going to show up. And I did show up and looked around, and everyone else was wearing black, gray, and navy. And so in the picture of me being sworn in, you see me in a sea of like darkness just popping.
I love that.
Pink and red. Yeah.
Well, that's clearly how it's supposed to be as you're getting sworn in. Like it's about me. This is about me.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Also, it's like standing out in like such a good way. I was watching obviously the Harris rally the other night, and they're panning through the crowd and you see different people, and there was this woman who had this really cute green and pink dress on. And I just noticed, I was like, oh, that is so slay. Like absolutely love that. And then later on, they were doing, one-to-one interviews across just people that were attending. And I recognized her because I recognized that dress. And I immediately loved her before she even opened her mouth, because I was like, girl can put on an outfit. So
right. It's her confidence and her feminine power. Get it?
For sure. It is seriously, it's a thing. I am curious what your favorite stores in Vermont are. Like where, if you're going to get something that just totally resonates with you, where are you shopping? What are the racks?
I go to consignment stores like pretty much exclusively. And I go to consignment stores all over the state of Vermont. And before I really started like diving into policy, like during the first few weeks of me legislating, I was doing an outfit of the day and then tagging where I got the outfits, like the consignment stores. I may start that back up again when I find time. But my favorite consignment store is in Manchester, Vermont. It's called Zippy Chicks. And they also have free people samples that have never been worn that are dirt cheap. Yeah.
Love. Exciting.
Been there. I have looked for shoes there. I know exactly what store you're talking about.
Amazing.
It's so good.
So good. Yeah.
There's also, I don't have to find,
maybe, but it's worth the drive.
Yeah. Like for clothing, for a good outfit. Absolutely.
Of course.
There's one in Brattleboro. I cannot remember the name of it, but I will have to send it to you when I like relook it up on the map. That's also Please so do. Good. And has just like endless racks of things. And they had, I'm still kicking myself. They had this, it wasn't my size. I was like, I know I'm not going to get to the alterations, but they had this vintage Dior skirt set. And I left it there. I was like, Samantha, it's a size 10. It's not going to fit you. It's going to fall. It's gonna fall off you. You're never gonna bring it to the seamstress. It's not gonna happen. But like, still, it haunts my dreams. Like, it was blue and whites, not blue and white. Sorry, blue and black pinstripe. It was so. Anyways,
The consignment
trauma.
is legit. I actually have a vintage Dior skirt set from a downtown vintage consignment, the Vault, and it was really cheap. And I think it's because that's just not the style up here so much. People are wearing Merrells and like Patagonia. And so these things get pushed to the back of the rack. But for a girl like me, I'm like, absolutely 100% yes. And it's such a steal. So
I love that.
Come on up to Vermont and go consignment and vintage shopping with me.
The childhood
to make the trip.
The childhood trauma I have from being forced to wear Merrells is something some therapist is going to really have to reckon with one day.
I'm going on 8 years being here and I don't own a pair.
It's not happening. It's just 1 year being forced. I literally, when I was little, it was like literally negative 10 degrees out. I was like, I'm not wearing Merrells. I'm not wearing pants. I'm wearing a pink dress. And you can't do anything about it. That was what was happening in the Kendrick household. Like, it was
just advocating for herself.
Really, coming to the mic really early on. But I am really curious about what's going to happen come primary day, which is literally next week. And then also gearing up for these elections. I know there's been so much, maybe turmoil is too dramatic of a word, but just so much going on with a few different members passing away and, other people deciding not to run, rerun again, all of those things. Like, what's really the lay of the land and what do you think is going to happen?
I don't have a contested race, so I'm really thankful for that. But I have been running like I have. It's still really important to get out there, knock doors in the blazing heat, get to know my neighbors, update them on the issues. So I've been running, honestly, harder than I did the first time, just because I have more to share as compared to the first time I ran. Let's see. Our lieutenant governor race, kind of hot right now because we have two folks who are pretty public and deputy mayor of a town that borders Burlington and then the incumbent who are running against each other. The rest of the statewide are pretty low key as far as their visibility. We do have a lot of open seats. We have a super majority. We have 104 Democrats in the House right now. And a lot of the seats are just going to flip because they couldn't some of the Democrats stepped down and they couldn't find anyone to even run in the race. Period. So there are going to be some changes for sure happening. Sorry, my chat.
The group text is firing.
It's the female legislators who married me. They don't realize that I'm on here. I'm just going to say, can you please quit texting me?
You're dead.
Okay.
I have a question with some of the ones aren't contested. Some of the conversation, even pulling from that at the national level, with Bernie, for example, running again despite being literally ancient, and just who is up next, really, in terms of the next generation of Vermont leaders that could run for Senate, run for some of these other state positions that are obviously all so important, no matter what. Is there a lack of interest, you feel, or is it just people aren't stepping into it? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, Vermont is an aging state, truly. The state house is pretty representative of our population, but it is changing. But one thing I think that plays a part is our legislature is not set up for younger people. And so in order to build that bench, you have to foster an environment for young leaders to step into and get that experience, get that exposure. And our state house is not our setup is not meant for young people. We get paid $14,000 a year. We don't have benefits. We don't have staff. We don't have an office. And so people like me, I mean, I honestly am what am I doing here? I just depleted my savings account in order to supplement my income these last 2 years. And now I'm doing it again. I don't know. But that is something that I'm concerned. And I do believe if we get some reform going in the state house to make it an environment where young people can grow and thrive, then our bench will grow when it comes to, congressional seats when they open up. But right now, I am concerned, just like I was for the top of the ticket when Biden was with Trump. I'm where's the bench, people? What are we doing here?
And we clearly have seen that there is a bench that can really energize people just with this switch in the presidential ticket. So the Bernie piece is so baffling to me always, especially because just what I think I know of him, I'm like, why would he want to keep going? Like he seems like such a pass the torch kind of guy. So it's just like really crazy to me sometimes with these decisions that are being made. And especially with like, we have a bench. Like I feel like we always have, but it's like we don't have people up the top and who are the more senior members willing to pass the torch, which has clearly been the problem.
Right.
So it's just fascinating. But yeah, I also get Vermont is obviously like older in demo. So it's like, how do you maybe argue with that in that specific state, right?
Yeah. And like by the time that Bernie passes the torch, the people who have like had the grit to stay in the game this long, they're going to be what? And they're like 70s. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I know.
Right? Because it's like, who would even run for that? I mean, obviously Rick Scott's a Republican, but it's like someone like that, like with the name recognition, like what other game are we playing? I mean, granted, look, Vermont is small and everyone somehow knows everyone that knows someone that knows someone else. So like at the same time, like it is definitely like a different game for sure. But like how we balance all of those things. Well, it's going to be like a crazy little like primary and election season. I have seen tons of Kamala Harris signs driving up here. So very excited to see that. I mean, it is Vermont, but there is 2A Vermont. So like,
and I feel like you're always sending like Trump signs all over the place too. So I'm glad that there's been some.
Well, I did see, this was like a few weeks ago. No, like 2 months ago, but there's like a house in Bennington that literally has like an upside down taped like Alito style flag.
Oh boy.
To like their front porch. Yeah. And so every time I see something like that, I'm like, Maddie, oh my God, do you see what I saw when I was like up in Vermont this week? Like,
so it exists.
It exists for sure. It exists
all these
everywhere.
things.
People are definitely more.
And they're the loud ones. Yeah. They're usually.
Yeah. But people are more energized. I mean, I represent there are 2 universities, well, one college, one university in my district. And you can definitely feel like the energy has shifted. The young people here are like, I feel like, honestly, I was worried. I was like, are they even going to come out to the polls to vote for me? Because they were just so disenchanted with the way things were looking. But now it's been a good positive shift in the past few weeks.
Good. That's good to hear.
Younger, better.
And I honestly feel like too, like I love that you're still like out there door knocking and like talking to people, because regardless of whether you're like contested or not, like that's so important. Yeah. Again, for like the longevity of like people knowing you and what you're doing, but also just like for people to be engaged like up and down the ballot. I think just like having those conversations no matter what is so huge. And so, yeah, I just love that piece that you mentioned earlier. But before we wrap, can you kind of tell people a little bit more about where people can find you and your race and just like where they can keep tabs?
Yeah, Instagram, it's Stone4VT, and TikTok is the same. I deleted my TikTok and then I revived it in the past few weeks because I was inspired by Delegate Kayla Young.
Yes.
Love her.
Yes. So you can find me there. I'm also on Facebook, but I'm most active on Instagram and now TikTok, Stone4VT.
Yeah. Love it.
Love it.